this is Sindari, and I'm here with
Giselle.
We are starting our last piece of our judging how to judge Garb series, which is execution. When we talk about judging Garb, we are talking in general terms about aesthetics, complexity, and then execution being the last step. We're going to go over what that means in this video. It means to you as a judge, but also as an entrant, what you need to look out for.
When it comes to the final element, how did it look altogether? We have a simple one here that was made with a selvage edge, did not put an edge on. I would consider this a 1. It is together, it is functioning, but it is not attractive. This is what a newbie would wear because he didn't know any better, but he wanted to get those points so that he could play a class. This counts for playing a class. It doesn't count for being qualified to qualify. The edges are unfinished. It's ugly. There's nothing on it. At least it's not dirty and it's not wrinkled. That's the one thing going for this piece. I might get it at 1.5 because of that. So that's one element. So we go back to our 3-0 tunic. Here is a 3-0 tunic. Nothing fancy, nothing great. A little embellishment makes it a little better. Again, all of these tunics can be worn to fight in. All of them will hold up for a certain amount of time. Some will hold up better. This one will hold up for quite a while. Then we have something like this fluff coat, which is stunning. Fully lined. You don't see the seams. Because you don't see the seams, I can't judge the seams, can I? You can't hold that against them as a judge. In fact, you should give them points for it, for thinking ahead. This has a little edge along the edge here to help keep nice crisp edges. This is an execution thing, so it moves beautifully. There's no bunching, there's no extra edges. It holds up stunning. It has embellishments. It has a lovely frog with an elastic piece so that he can use this for fighting and it won't die. The little finished edges, beautiful edges. Could be a little bit more even, probably not. This is a little simple for a 5, but it's still beautifully made. Definitely a 4. Gorgeous little applique pieces put on with delicate pieces here. Now, this is a great example of execution. This patch is much more even than this patch. Both are just patches. Both are not the center points of the piece. You've already graded the piece on its stitching, on its use of fabric. This is great trigger. This thing will hold up longer than the owner's knees will. So this is a great example. Finished edges all seamless. This one used a different bobbin thread than top thread, so it shows that you can see that her machine probably has a tension issue. This, you can see the stitching. This, if she'd done this by hand, it would have come out evener, more even, than had it been done with a machine. There's pulling and on certain edges because, again, the sewing machine doesn't like to do these type of stitches. However, this is a piece right here, used fabric, holds out. This was all hand stitched, beautiful points. But then this was done by hand with a machine, and the machine has evener stitches than the human body can do on a machine. Now, if she'd done with this by hand, her stitches could be as even as this, and this would have been 4 stitches on each of those. Those were choices made. Sindari's making a face because she did this one. So, but that's the 2 issues. Well done, not as well done, still good, still a 3-0, where this is a 4.
And this is a good point to bring up, because when we talk about execution, we're really talking about if I'm trying to add layers, I'm trying to add to complexity, but if I don't execute it well, then it shouldn't be judged the same way. For example, this is executed well, the satin stitch is fine. It's a patch that was made on an embroidery machine, but it was done well. Versus this, if executed well, perhaps would have resulted in more points just for this piece, but the execution flaws detract from it. So that's what you always have to look at is, wow, they did this, you know, they did the French seam, they did this, and they did this, and they did the hem, they did the blind hem. But if those pieces didn't come out correctly, they are not executed properly. And that's why we go down.
Okay, so these are 2. Would you hold the corsets? Okay, so we have 2 corsets. Same pattern, okay, not quite the same pattern. This one has stuff on the side also. This one is more complex because it does have more grommeting, which means it can be worn by more people, changing the size up. And this one, that the lines all converge. This one struggled with the lines converging. That's the problem with using stripes and patterns is you need to make those pattern lines match. And you'll see that this is a double rows here and a double rows here because there's a princess scene in this area. And because of that, it made it more difficult. Had she done this and matched up those roses to do this, that would make a difference in the execution. That execution would have been much more difficult, and therefore her score would have been much, much higher. Just because of that element, it's like, oh, she used a pattern. Oh, she used a pattern with a design in it. Doing that changes the complexity and the difficulty of the piece. This is, again, if you go to Walmart, this is what you get. You go to Marc Jacobs or one of the fancy designers, you get this. That's the difference. Cheap dress, not cheap dress. This one, while it is beautifully constructed and all the lines match and everything fits in together perfectly, and it has a design and all of those elements, it doesn't fit. So while it's beautifully made, and I would have entered it like this is one of my pieces, I entered this piece just like this because had I entered it on a human body, you would see that it doesn't fit. It is too big. It doesn't fit at all. So because of that, it is better left out than put on a body because you could see the final execution didn't work. She will never wear this piece. Nobody will ever wear this piece. So while it's gorgeous and lovely and all of that, it will never get worn. Now I could go back, take out the side seams, take out the grommeting, pull it in, put new grommets in, and then it might be worth entering. But execution matters. How the final fit matters. While it doesn't look awful, it hangs instead of fits her. A corset should do its job. It should be tight-fitted, it should fit well. If it's too tight, it's wrong. If it bunches and makes her look worse, it's wrong. Because this isn't boned, it will never hold on its own, so it needed to be slightly loose. But this is much too loose. This isn't usable. Whereas this one fitted perfectly and was fit tightly, and it's well boned, not whale bone, but well boned. So it will hold its shape. This one by itself won't ever hold its shape all by itself. So these are things to think about when you're thinking about construction. You want to think, yes, it looked good on this from a distance. Yes, the stitching was lovely, but did it work as a whole piece? Did it do its job? Can they wear it? And thank you. I think that goes over all of our elements. Thank you for watching our videos, and I hope this helps you judge better.